Very few video game series stand the test of time and go on to last for 25, 30 years while still releasing games regularly, and one of the most iconic of all time, and very close to my heart, is the Legend of Zelda series. But we're not talking about that today, we're talking about Final Fantasy. Not only is this series one of the first role-playing video games, but it's also one of the most successful, currently only being beat out by the Pokemon franchise, and I mean, come on, it's Pokemon. Few other gaming franchises have reached over 15 main series installments, and that's not even counting spin-offs, sequels, and side games. But today I wanted to take a look at the original Final Fantasy, the one that started it all, without which this series, and probably Square as a whole, would have likely gone nowhere. I'm sure you all know the story by now, but by the time that Final Fantasy came out for the Famicom, Square was not really doing all that hot when it comes to sales. Now personally, I don't see why that's the case, with great hits like The Death Trap, Rad Racer, King's Knight. It baffles me that Square was going bankrupt. Enter Hironobu Sakaguchi. Now this guy is one of those gaming legends up there with like Miyamoto and that guy that got fired from Konami. Sakaguchi was ready to quit game development and go back to college if his last game failed. He got inspired by similar titles like Dragon Quest or Dragon Warrior as it was known here in the West and decided to make a fantasy game. Now I would tell you guys about the name Final Fantasy and how it came to be, but I'm sure you've already heard it about a billion times, so let's just get straight into the game, shall we? The game opens with the now iconic Prelude theme that has gone on to represent the Final Fantasy series probably more so than the actual main theme of the game. Fun fact, now legendary composer Nobuo Uematsu actually wrote this song in about 10 minutes, and you can tell because it's not really all that detailed, really only being fleshed out in future installments, but it's just funny to me how this theme has pretty much gone on to be the one tune that most people associate with the series. Anyways, you're allowed to pick 4 characters from 6 different jobs, which is the first little bit of customization that you get in this game, and you get to name them whatever you want. Sadly, you only get 4 letters per name, but I'll have to make do. Gentlemen and ladies, I present to you Ali the Fighter, Eric the White Mage, Josh the Thief, and Rem the Black Mage. Alright, so the game starts you off in this small town named Corneria. No, not the one from Star Fox, the other one. Apparently some princess named Sarah has gone missing and everyone is worried for her. Now I know, another 8-bit game about a princess being kidnapped, but to be fair, this one actually shows you how it's affecting the citizens of her kingdom, and apparently some people didn't take it very well. Her mother, Queen Jane, for example, went as far as to lock herself in a room until she is found. Now lady, I don't see how this is supposed to help in any way. If anything, you're just making the rest of your family even more worried now, so why don't you quit being so damn dramatic and find something else to do. I love the sound effects for these doors, like it's supposed to be some high and mighty prestigious royal castle, and these guys just come barging in like they own the place. Anyways, apparently this guy named Garland, who used to be a good knight until something took her and is holding her in some kind of temple. Geez, maybe there is a little more Zelda in this game than I thought. Now, you may be wondering why the king hasn't sent, I don't know, the entire army, a search party, a goddamn boy with a slingshot even to try and get his daughter back. Well, apparently this was all already prophesized to happen by a guy named Lucan, who very conveniently isn't in town right when this all happened to go down. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if someone kept telling everybody in the town that the king's daughter was gonna get kidnapped, and then it actually happened, he'd be the first person that I'd be suspicious of, especially if he just so happened to be out of town when the actual kidnapping took place. Plus, it's not like the guy wasn't specific, he told you exactly who it would be, so if you really did believe him, go hunt down Garland before he takes the princess. You should have been doing this instead of locking yourself in a room, hoping that 4 jackasses with leather armor and a wooden staff show up offering to save her from the powerful demigod. Yes, I'm looking at you, Queen Jane. Anyways, the party agrees to help the king get his daughter back, but first I need to go stock up in the market. Now it's nothing too fancy, but they got several shops and even a nice fountain. See your face upon the clean water? How dirty! Come, wash your face. Well, screw you, I'll be as dirty as I want. Ah, the classic Final Fantasy battle screen. Believe it or not, this screen was actually pretty revolutionary at the time. See, most other RPGs like Dragon Quest had some kind of first-person perspective looking right at the enemies to the face. Final Fantasy was the first to place your party on one side and the enemies on the other, which is arguably still what turn-based games use to this day. Now don't worry, I did stock up before going out to battle. I'm not an idiot. I bought armor, weapons, and even some spells for the party, which I don't regret because Rem with that fire spell kicks ass. This is a well. You might think that there is something to it, but in fact, it is just an ordinary well. I don't remember switching the cartridge to Earthbound. So this pleb in the town told me that Garland was hanging out in a temple northwest of the city, so I headed there and lo and behold, there he was. This is the first quote-unquote dungeon of the game, if you can really call it that, and the music here is actually pretty good in my opinion. Good job, Uematsu. You find Garland with the princess like right at the entrance, and he starts taunting the party about how he's gonna kick our ass. Turns out Garland is actually a pushover. I beat this guy in like 2 minutes. Heck, the goddamn level up screen took longer than that. After rescuing the princess, she gives me this old lute, and the king also has a bridge built north of the town for the party. You know, I've heard about NES games being short compared to modern games, but I didn't realize that they were this short. I literally rescued the princess within like half an hour. That was pathetically easy. Oh well, I guess. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for Final Fantasy II. It's not over yet, is it? So past the bridge that was miraculously built in like less than a day, there's actually more land to explore, and surprise surprise, harder enemies to fight. And I'm not kidding when I say that. I got half my party wiped out by a goddamn iguana. What the hell? Luckily I made it to the town with 2 party members still alive, but I gotta look for an inn quick though before I die. What's this? I'm Bick the Pirate, and surprised I am that you scurvy dogs have the nerve to face me. Mates, get those landlubbers. Oh, you have got to be kidding me. Run away, get out of there immediately, run, please! I died. And it sends me back to my last save. Alright, so this game is no joke, even for NES standards. How the hell were people expected to beat this game? Am I just supposed to like grind for days to make the rest of the game extremely easy? I'll be the first to admit that I'm not great at video games, but there's difficulty, and then there's NES difficulty. I mean, come on! So I made my way all through Garland again into the pirate once more, but this time, I was ready. My whole party had full HP, and I was ready to kick ass! Yes! I beat the pirates. I honestly don't know why I assumed that the fight would be so hard. Maybe just because there was so many of them. But anyways, I'm gonna go buy some new equipment at the store in the town. Wait a second. What's this? You mean to tell me that I hadn't equipped anything that I had bought this entire time? I don't feel stupid at all. Why do you ask? Okay, help me understand this. Why does the shopkeeper ask you who you want to have the item, whether it be armor or a weapon, and then you choose someone, but they don't automatically equip it? Who designed this crap? I know, it's an NES game, so I have to give it some kind of pass, but I can't believe that I've been making it hard on myself this entire time when all I needed to do was go on the menu and press a single button. Whatever, so after beating him, the pirate decided to give me away his ship. I guess he won't be needing it now that his crew got slaughtered by 4 guys. May I remind you, armorless and weaponless. Now we set sail. So I've heard that once you get the ship, if you hold A and press B 55 times, you actually get a special sliding puzzle minigame. So let's go ahead and see if that works out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55. It worked, alright, time to get started. Done. That wasn't so hard. Sadly, the reward is only 100 gold, but I guess if you really wanted to, you could grind this minigame out for money. I ain't about that life though, so let's set sail! I managed to find the Elf Kingdom where apparently their prince was put to sleep 5 years ago by some guy named Astos, and the only way to wake him up is by giving him this magical herb.
Smoke weed every day.
Okay, so is this whole game gonna consist of me just going around doing errands for different towns and kingdoms? First a kidnapped princess, now a prince that was put to sleep? The one guy mentioned a dwarf cave to the west, so I headed there and turns out that Astos was here too, but instead of condemning his actions, all the dwarves are just really happy that they can finally see in the dark cave thanks to this crystal that Astos recently stole. Well, except for this guy that just wants TNT so he can blow everything up. You know, that really does seem like it would be a problem, not being able to see inside your own home. Here's a suggestion though. Don't live inside a freaking dark cave, idiots! Seriously, these guys built an entire village inside a cave, and only now did it occur to them that it might be a problem if they can't see in the dark? And what's worse is that they outright stole the crystal from the witch that lives in another cave. I know that she's a witch, but the poor woman is hiding behind a chair, scared because she also can't see in the dark. Alright, so the dwarves didn't have much to show, so instead I'm gonna head to this west castle that another elf mentioned. This place is in terrible condition, and there's literally only one guy left here, the king. Somehow, believe it or not, Astos was here too. He stole the crown. Man, this guy really gets around. So you gotta go retrieve the crown from some marsh, which is not only incredibly difficult to navigate since it all looks exactly the same, but also full of really high-level enemies. I'm pretty sure that I know where the crown is, but every time that I reach the chest, I get my ass kicked by these wizards. What the hell? So after several tries and a crap ton of grinding, I finally managed to kill the wizards and get the crown. But once I went back to the town to give it back to the king, turns out that he was Astos all along. What gives? So let me get this straight. Astos transformed himself into a human, told the party that he stole the crown from himself, and made us go get it for him, essentially making us the thieves. But wait a second, why would he need to do that if he had the crown already? Did he steal the crown and hid it in the marsh just to tell someone to go get it for him? But if he already had the crown, I really don't get this guy's end goal. So you managed to kill Astos after all. It's a pretty easy fight, all things considered. Now, okay, he did slay Ali with his insta-kill erase spell, but I'll take it after the last few hours of those wizards at the marsh. You get the crystal, sail to the north, give it to the witch, she gives you the herb, sail to the city, use it to wake up the elf prince.
Smoke weed.
He gives you the mystical key, sail to the starting city, use the key on the door, get the TNT powder, give it to the one dwarf that just wants to blow up the world. In all seriousness, he uses the TNT to open up a new path for your ship, which opens up a huge part of the overworld up. What I'm wondering is why the hell the Cornerian king was keeping a giant pile of TNT stored in his castle, locked up by a key that the elf king had. Seriously, what were the circumstances that led to this situation? So you make your way to Melman Town, which is supposedly having trouble with people being killed by vampires? The hell, I thought this was supposed to be a medieval fantasy game. Now we got this Edward Cullen Hotel Transylvania Alucard type deal? Where do they get this from? So you head into the cave, get lost for a few hours once again, and then you finally find Mr. Dracula, who just takes a couple of fire spells to the face before he kindly gets out of your way. But apparently the cave led to a dead end, at least for the time being, and all I got out of it was the small ruby. Why the vampire was keeping this ruby is beyond me, but hey, I ain't hesitating to sell that sucker as soon as I get back to the mart. Apparently, the ruby is the only way to get the titan in the cave next door to get out of your way. Let me repeat that just in case you didn't process it. You kill Dracula inside a cave, steal his ruby, go to the cave next door, give it to the freaking titan that's just lying about there so he can get out of your way so that you can go meet the sage who gives you the magical rod that somehow opens the secret passage back in Dracula's cave. I couldn't come up with this if I tried. Past that, you find the mystical earth orb, but it's being guarded by this guy named Lish? Oh god, it's the Lich King. After defeating him, you restore the Earth Orb and bring peace back to Melmond, although for some reason in the menu the orb is blue. I don't know, usually colors associated with the Earth are like brown, orange, yellow, heck, even green, but you'd think that they'd save blue for the water orb. Anyways, after that you can head to Crescent Lake, so called because it's shaped like a crescent. Doesn't take a genius to figure that one out. There's some good armor and weapons there, but it's all crazy expensive. The interesting part for me, though, is the goddamn Wizards of the Round, all just standing there in a circle. No, seriously, 12 powerful sages are just lying around here in the town telling people about the 4 orbs that need to be restored. And hey, what the hell, Lucan from the beginning of the game? The same guy who warned the king of the starting town that the princess would be kidnapped. He's here? Son of a bitch, that is him. He was a sage this whole time. Man, these guys must really be caught up in this whole prophecy thing and not changing the course of action, because you got 12 of some of the most powerful living beings in the world just hanging out in some town, but none of them are willing to do anything about the 4 fiends that are threatening life on the planet because, oh, the prophecy said so. Okay, so according to these guys, one of the fiends is in the volcano 2 miles down the road. I'll let you guess which of the 4 orbs they're holding there. Honestly, the design of the volcano wouldn't be too bad, at least not compared to some of the other dungeons in this game, if it weren't for one tiny little thing. The floor is lava. No, seriously. You can't go 2 footsteps without losing HP because the party is literally walking on lava. That means that anytime you're faced with a choice of going left or right, one leads you to where you're supposed to go and the other leads you to losing 3 times as much HP, since you gotta walk there, back, and then go the right path. Don't even get me started on the final room that literally just places you in the middle with 8 different directions to go. If the fiend isn't one of these, good luck finding out which one and having enough HP to fight it in the end. Somehow I managed to make it, and in the end you find the evil, dangerous, powerful dark fiend, Carrie. Yeah, she's just called Carrie. Oh my god, Carrie's no joke! Holy crap, I take back everything I said. One by one, she killed everybody in my party. Somehow, don't ask me, but somehow, I managed to beat her in the end with freaking Eric the White Mage. Yeah, I know. Now, I know that I already restored the fire orb, so I'm pretty much done with this place, but there was one guy in the north of the town that talked about this ice cave I wanted to check out. Although I don't really see why it's called an ice cave. It doesn't seem particularly icy to me, other than these spots that also hurt you when you walk on them. I'm not sure if they're supposed to be ice and it's freezing the party as you walk on it. I don't know, this game is weird. It didn't give me an orb, but it did give me a floater, except the game, like with everything else, just kind of expects you to figure things out on your own. Yeah, I haven't really brought that up, but one aspect of the original Final Fantasy that really shows its age is items. If you're buying a weapon or piece of armor, there's no way to know which party member can equip it, and other than price at the store, you don't really know which one is stronger unless you actually put it on and try it for yourself. Spells don't have any description, items don't tell you what they do either in your inventory or at a store. You're really just left to figure it out on your own. I guess there might be something about this in the original game manual, but when items are as expensive as they are in this game, you really want to know what you're getting and if you're gonna get any good use out of it before you buy it, especially when the damn shopkeepers are so stingy about it. 5 gold? That cost me at least 80! Here's what the floater item actually does. You're supposed to go to this empty desert area south of the cave, go into your inventory, click on the item, and boom, airship rises out of the ground. Just like that. It would have been one thing if there was a broken airship there that said, oh, maybe a floater will help it get back up or something like that, but nope, it's just an empty desert and you're supposed to figure it out all on your own. Again, how did they expect people to just figure this out on their own? Okay, so bullcrap aside, flying around on the airship is actually pretty awesome. You can go just about anywhere in the world, and best of all, no random encounters. They could have easily made some dumb excuse like, oh, flying monster encounters while you're in the airship, but nope, feel free to fly around as much as you want. Eventually, I found these islands that were all connected to this underground cave system full of dragons who want nothing to do with me unless I could get them some gold. Sheesh, way to be a stereotype, dragons. Naturally, the first thing that I did was loot all their treasure chests for a buttload of cash. Believe it or not, somehow still not enough to buy all the next level magic spells. What, you're looking at me like you wouldn't do the same? I mean, what's the worst that could happen? It's not like we're talking about giant, man-eating, fire-breathing beasts who could— oh... the dragons don't seem to mind. Their leader, though, Bahamut, yes, the Bahamut, tasked the party with this trial for a great reward, but he doesn't actually tell us what said reward is. I guess this was supposed to be some kind of a challenge, and you do get some good loot out of it, but like always, the biggest obstacle is just navigating the damn place. Especially when there's these pillars that you have to choose from, and one of them leads you to the next room, while the other just sends you back a few. Great dungeon design, guys. You beat the dungeon only to find out that the proof of your worth is a rat's tail, which is stupid. We could have found any old rat, chopped its tail off, and then used that instead of going through the whole dungeon, but whatever. It actually does turn out to be worth it, though, because all of your party gets a job upgrade as the reward. The fighter becomes a warrior, the thief becomes a ninja, and the white and black mages become white and black wizards, although, personally, I think that mages sounds a lot cooler. But enough messing around, let's actually get back to the main story. I managed to find the new town, but there isn't really anything too special here. My legs are beautiful. It's so nice to have legs. That's a very eerie, weirdly specific comment. There's this woman here that has a submarine that she wants to fix so she can go see the mermaids. But there's mermaids too? What don't they have? She needs this particular item to fix it. See, this is how you give people quests, game. You let them know what they need to do so that they can go find it, not just expect them to randomly know what they're supposed to do. Kudos to them on this quest. Well, at least that is what I would be saying if I could find the item. I've been looking all over the map for clues as to where it could be, but I really got nothing. You guys want to know where it is? You want to know what you have to do to get it? Alright, here we go. So the way that you get the item is by talking to a fairy in a fountain north of the same town. That doesn't seem too complicated, except this fairy isn't there normally. See, what you have to do is go up to the fountain and in your inventory click the bottle item. Seriously, I was just giving the game a compliment on giving the player some kind of hint of what to do, and then you go and pull this on me? But that's not the worst part. Guess how I got the bottle. Go ahead, like, try and figure it out. In a chest somewhere, bought it off a store in a town, an enemy dropped it, an NPC gave it to me. Nope. See this giant empty desert? You gotta walk up to this little corner here where there's a hidden shop where all they sell is the bottle that, may I remind you, is required to beat the game. Oh my god, what were they thinking? Never in a million years would it have occurred to me to just walk up to this random spot in the middle of the desert, buy a single bottle, go up to a fountain, click on the bottle, make a fairy appear, talk to her, and have her give me the item that I need to fix the goddamn submarine. You know what? Screw it. I'm just not even gonna bother anymore. I'm just gonna go down the submarine. Turns out that it's not even a mode of transportation. Heck, you don't even get a separate sprite for when you're underwater. All it is access to the underwater dungeon. Like the woman said, there's a bunch of mermaids down here all worried that the fiend is destroying their habitat and you gotta go defeat it. My friend Daryl went to the land, then never returned. I've often wondered what happened. Maybe she grew legs and walked away? Oh my god, your friend is that lady that was talking about how awesome it is to have legs. How did that happen? I want to hear this girl's story. You find the orb, a fiend is guarding it. Ho ho ho? What is this, Santa Claus? Oh, it's the Kraken. Just straight up, the Kraken. You kill it, restore peace, blah blah blah. You guys know the drill by now. On to the next door. So there's this whole village of people that speak an ancient language where the only word is lupa. Luckily, there happens to be a slab that translates the entire language, all one word, into English so we can understand it. They tell the party that their ancient ancestors built this floating temple, which is where the air orb is located. Man, I can't wait to see what the theme of the air dungeon is. This game has literally gone from like medieval fantasy to Victorian vampires, Greek titans, and freaking mermaids, for crying out loud. All that's missing is a futuristic sci-fi level complete with robots and oh my god, they did it! The ancestors of the Lupa people were a super advanced ancient race that had technology and robots. This game literally has everything. Sadly, you don't get to fight any of the robots since they're all on your side. It's mainly just the same old monsters, plus a few new ones like this rock golem that literally hits you so hard, it actually makes you stupider. Same deal as usual, find the fiend, kill it, restore the orb, bring peace, yada yada yada. Man, am I glad that they eventually moved on from this whole magical crystals plot in the later games. While it's cool and will always be a staple of Final Fantasy, it does get a bit repetitive by the time that you get to the fourth one. Alright, so with all that out of the way, I finally got all 4 orbs. I headed back to the sages only to find out that I'm not actually done. Apparently, I gotta go back in time 2,000 years to finish this off where it all started. And where it all started, we did. You have to go all the way back to the original dungeon where you fought the first boss. There's actually a 5th orb of darkness there that sends you back 2,000 years. Of course there had to be time travel in this game. I mean, why wouldn't there be, am I right? Might as well. So you go through one last dungeon and you actually have to fight the 4 fiends again. Get this, the 4 of them were originally from 2,000 years ago, but they were sent forward in time by none other than Garland, the guy from the beginning of the game, and in return, they sent him back in time. Try and wrap your head around that. However, the 4 fiends are all hidden deep within the dungeon, and the only way to get to their fights is to play a specific song with the lute that was given to you at the beginning of the game by Princess Sarah, which is actually the reason why Garland kidnapped her to begin with. I don't know who comes up with these dumb music requirements in video game dungeons. Who in the world would guess to play a song in order to unlock a new path? Excuse me. Wait! Garland reveals his true self as Chaos, who is basically some kind of embodiment of hate or whatever, but this really doesn't make any sense. Regardless of what time they're from, if they're killed in one time, they shouldn't magically come back in the other one. Why do I have to kill all 5 of them twice, once in the past and once in the present? If they're killed in the past, then they wouldn't have been there in the future, and if they're killed in the future, then they couldn't have been sent back to the past. In a similar fashion, the prophecy of the Light Warriors defeating the Fiends was only true because it had already happened, so the people that were there in the past passed it down until it eventually reached the time when the Light Warriors were around. Except when they go back to the present, their deeds are forgotten by everyone, implying that there isn't a time loop. Although it does say that they are sent to their past, so is the game trying to have one of those endings where like every real-life person's playthrough of the original Final Fantasy is just a different incarnation of the same Light Warriors, just at a different time because it's self-fulfilling? Ugh, my brain hurts. And this is just an NES game. I'm pretty sure I'm thinking about this more than the actual developers of the game did. For all I know, this could just be a product of a crappy translation, which isn't foreign to the early Final Fantasy games. Pun intended. Confusing time travel aside, the dungeon fights aren't actually that difficult, all things considered. I'm pretty sure that they're identical to their original fights, and by the time that you reach the ending of the game, you'll be so high level that you can pretty much take him down in like 2 or 3 turns. The real fight, though, is with Chaos. This guy is not messing around. Not only does he have a crap ton of HP, but he hits like a truck, over 200 damage in some cases. This is ridiculous! As much as Chaos kicked my ass, I actually really enjoyed this fight. I miss back when video game bosses used to be legitimately difficult instead of just taking like an hour without even dying once. It took several tries, but after a while the Light Warriors managed to defeat Chaos. Well, except for Eric. He didn't make it. And with that, Garland is defeated, peace is restored to the world, and the very first Final Fantasy game comes to a close. You know, speaking as someone who had never played the original FF1 up until now, I was actually really surprised with how much fun I ended up having with it. Even with all its shortcomings, I couldn't help but get that warm, fuzzy feeling when I saw that ending screen. It really got to me. This is the RPG genre at its purest, a classic tale of heroes going around the world defeating monsters and overcoming a great evil. It's not hard to see why this game single-handedly saved Square from bankruptcy and went on to start one of the most successful video game franchises of all time. I'm glad that I can finally say I beat this game once and for all, and what better day to do it on than today, too. Happy 30th anniversary, Final Fantasy. Here's to 30 more years of great, timeless, fun RPGs to come. Whew, that took a lot longer to make than I originally expected. But I was able to get it out for the anniversary, so that's good. I've already started working on the next video, but these do take a while to make, so quality over quantity, I guess. However, if you guys want to keep up with me in the meantime, you can always follow me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it. If you're fans of Final Fantasy, you should join my Discord server, and if you enjoy my content, you should consider pledging on Patreon. I do giveaways every month. This month's giveaway in honor of FF1 is going to be these Light Warriors keychains, so if that sounds interesting, then links to all of those will be in the description. Shout out to Planner Walk for being my first patron, and also huge thanks to my buddies Corporal Saturn, aka Sam, and Chris for helping me out with the technical side of this video. I couldn't have done it without you guys. Speaking of my friend Chris, I'm actually going to be going with him to PAX South in January at San Antonio, so if any of you are going to be there, then keep an eye out for me and feel free to say hi if you see me at the convention. And since this will probably be my last video of the year, happy holidays, guys. I hope you have a fantastic time, and I'll see you with more Final Fantasy in 2018. Stay tuned, Kupo.